Hello, I'm Eric Snodgrass, and thank you for watching today's Ag Forecast for South America, brought to you by Nutrien Ag Solutions. Let's look at the front half of the month of March here, and the first map is going to show us temperature anomalies. These data are from the CDAS data set. And what we do notice is that stretching up into parts of Argentina, we have seen some much warmer than average conditions, anywhere between 2 to 5 degrees Celsius above average. It has also been quite warm in parts of eastern Brazil compared to normal. But the central region right in through here, from southern Brazil stretching up into Mato Grosso, we've seen some cooler than average conditions, as estimated here by CDAS. Now, the ultimate question that I'm trying to answer is, well, what did we get in terms of precipitation during this time period so we can assess if there was any potential stress due to lack of moisture and also due to some heat. Now, I'm going to start off with some satellite data first. Over here on the left, that's March 1st through the 14th, satellite-derived precipitation. And I know that looking at some of these maps, it might be hard to pick out on some of the details. We've certainly heard a lot about the extremely wet conditions in parts of Mato Grosso where they're trying to harvest, even getting over to parts of the Tocantins. You do see some drier pockets in Mato Grosso do Sul and down here in southern Brazil getting into Uruguay. There's also a stretch right in through here that's drier as well. And when you get over into this part of Argentina's eastern and northern growing area. But if we look at this another way, I've been pointing at the map on the left. Let's look at the one on the right. What I did was I just got rid of everything greater than an inch. So if it's white, it was greater than an inch of precipitation. And now what we start to see is in the colors where those drier pockets were located. All right. So the question is, during that time period, could we line up the heat stress with some moisture stress and start to see some issues? I think there are some places we can here in this part of Argentina. But outside of that, the satellite dry precipitation, well, let's focus in here on South America and just watch this last week. We had a few fronts that moved through Argentina. In fact, watch, here comes the next one right in through there, bringing in rounds of showers and storms. We had storms that fired up off the Andes Mountains. And look, another round that came through here just over the weekend. And the monsoons have actually been quite active over parts of Brazil. So I look at all of that, and then I take a look here at some of the latest data that came out of the Argentinian Meteorological Service. And, they're pointing at another area that just yesterday, this region right through here got better than 15 millimeters of rainfall. That's half an inch. Okay, so we're bringing in some pockets of storms here into Argentina. Now, why this is critical is where the forecast is going, and I want you to watch it with me here, looking at the European model. So let's get this going. This starts off today on Monday. Got to pause it pretty quickly here because we do see our next system moving through Monday into Tuesday. So look right here. So you see, these are the two high pressure cells we talked about on Thursday. Here's the frontal boundary squeezed in between them, and the models are picking up on a lot of rainfall coming out of this storm complex that's going to come through this part of Argentina. So this would be kind of the first round working its way through Tuesday. Now we're going to go out into Wednesday. That low exits the East Coast. You can see the monsoon just firing up here in the models. So we are Wednesday afternoon and evening. High pressure moves into Argentina. Okay. When do the rains return? Well, we're going to get through the day on Friday. And as we work our way into the weekend, we didn't, again, just see the models picking up on another shot at having more storms here in Argentina. So there's a round at the beginning of this week. There's then another chance on the weekend where high pressure settles in between. And we're just going to have to watch to see if this frontal boundary does extend into this area through the weekend, potentially bringing in some more locally heavy rain on thunderstorm activity into that area. And this just took us out through Sunday. So we put all that together, and our next week's worth of rainfall from the European model shows a lot of moisture here in Argentina. You see that amounts, well, those yellow colors represent an inch. So now when we get up here into the reds, we could possibly see some of these thunderstorms putting down quite a bit of rainfall. Meanwhile, very normal precip here for parts of Mato Grosso, but drier to the eastern side of Brazil. All right. Week 2, this is what the latest ECMWF ensemble looks like. They're trying to dry things out for much of Brazil and keep the wetter than average conditions, especially here in parts of southern Brazil, Paraguay, Uruguay, and northern Argentina, but more routine thunderstorm activity down here in parts of rest of Argentina. And interestingly enough, the GFS agrees on this pattern. So this is now a couple of weeks in a row we've seen good agreement between the European here and the GFS. This gets us out almost to the end of March. Now, thinking about that, the last map I'd like to show you, and we got to watch this one carefully here over the next few weeks, is this one here. European weeklies, this is almost the entirety of the month of April, and it's interesting to see this area going over toward drier. Now, why I'm concerned about that is, should that occur through April and getting into May, this would be a major change away from the wet conditions we've had over to very dry conditions, when the crop, once we get into the month of May, is going to be going, that second crop, the safrinha crop, going into grain fill. And if we continue to stay dry through April and into May and then possibly June, there'll be some concerns about what will be coming out of that second crop. So I think this is what we're going to need to measure against as we go forward into the month of April. So keep that tucked away in the back of your mind. All right, I'll go ahead and wrap it up there. Thanks for your attention. Talk to you again on Thursday.